Hello, my name is Richard Fisher, and I'm here to help you navigate the book of Romans. The title of this video is Romans, the Gospel on Mission. We come to the end of our journey through the book of Romans, and we begin to understand why Paul is so concerned that the Romans understand the gospel, that they understand why unity is very important and they understand their mission. But what he wants to suggest is something that we need to understand, and that is that God calls us to give away the gospel. And everything that Paul has been talking about and moving toward and persuading us to get involved in leads us to say to God, God, use me so that I can be able to present the gospel clearly to those who are lost. Paul understands certain things that must be in place before giving the gospel away can be done effectively. And I'd just like to share 4 of those with you as we bring these lectures to a close. The first is this: you cannot give the gospel away, you cannot share it convincingly unless you know it. You cannot share it unless you know it. In other words, you need to understand it. You need to experience it. You need to embrace the gospel. You need to accept what God has done for you and come humbly before Him. You need to confess that you need Him, that you have lived a life of rebellion and you have sinned. And then you need to just step forward and commit yourself to God. And as you do that, you begin to grow. You enter into obedience, and all of a sudden your eyes are opened and your belief increases and your faith grows and you get excited about it. You have embraced God. And in doing that, you develop a relationship with Him. You begin to know what He's talking about. You've sensed the change in your life. You begin to recognize where God is leading and how His Spirit works. You will never be able to share the gospel convincingly unless, first of all, you know it. Second of all, you'll never be able to share it convincingly unless you live it. When you begin to live the gospel and allow the Spirit of God to work in your life, you begin to understand the growth process. It works through disciplines that you put into place, the habits of righteousness, the habits of relationship that sustain this life and this excitement. And the hope that was once merely a philosophical thought now begins to grow and develop in your life, and you see how it works. And you get a taste of what it must be like to have walked in the garden and to begin to learn from God Himself. Living it is very important. If you haven't lived it, you cannot pass it on. There's another thing that must take place if you're going to give it away effectively. You must have a unified team. You must have a unified team. Unified in purpose, spirit, and in truth. There's a community that surrounds you. We find through God's Word that we never do anything by ourselves. We need the power of God. We're dependent upon God to work. We're dependent upon others. No man is an island. Matter of fact, as we gather together as a team, we find that we're able to minister in a broader way. We're able to think deeper and experience. I'm able to draw from your experiences. You're able to draw from mine. I see what God has done to change you. It becomes more than just an opinion. It becomes a reality. It's almost like it does work, guys. It's not just my word, it's His, and I've seen it work, and together, you know what I mean. If you're going to give it away effectively, it really does take a team. It takes a community of believers who go forward and begin to demonstrate what it means to live in faith, walking with God. Finally, you can't give it away unless you have a mission. All of these must be in place. You can know something, you can have a relationship. Actually, all of these things are to their fullest, they actually play together. Matter of fact, you can even start to live it out in your own little neighborhood. You can even have a team that gets together and talks about the need of salvation. And we just talk and we talk it to death. But until you get to the place where you get up off of this philosophical idea of serving and actually go out and begin to engage people, lost people who need the Lord, you don't sense the reality of the gospel flowing through you. To give it away successfully and convincingly, you have to know it, live it, have a unified team, and also have a specific mission. When you begin to go on mission, you discover something that's amazing. Mission actually creates unity. Mission actually brings reality to the things you're living. It lifts it to another level. Mission takes the knowing and gives it flesh. Mission is something that creates unity and makes the gospel come alive. And when you're on mission, I have discovered that you actually seek unity, you seek community, and you so desperately want to depend and need a relationship with God. I challenge you to go on mission for God.